She's gone. No, you don't even. No, you don't even say that. No. No. She's gone. She's gone. Hey Wolfie, I can always change into her, so she's never really gone. You sick fucking bitch. No one's ever left a scar quite like you. You want an apology? You know what I want. But what do you want? I want you to off. No! You don't even say that! No! She's gone. Hello everyone and welcome to my review of X-Men 2 or X2 or X-Men 2, X-Men United, whatever you call it. Yeah, sorry for the delay with this review. I've been performing in Guys and Dolls, so my content has been lacking over the past week, but the show is finished now, so I'll be able to carry on with my YouTube stuff. So, X2. This one came out in 2003, so 3 years after the first movie, and this is a big one. So, the original trilogy continues with X2. The basic plot of X-Men 2 is that it takes place directly after the first movie. There has been a mutant sent to assassinate the president, and that fails. We meet this man named William Stryker, who hates all of the mutants because of his son. His son is a mutant, and his son is this illusionist, and his condition, his mutation was in extreme condition, and Stryker's wife, through the torment of the son, has killed herself. So Stryker is on this vendetta to wipe out all of mutants, and he plans to steal the plans of Cerebro and rebuild his own in this underground base called Alkali Lake, where he will use his son to trick Professor X into thinking he's trying to find the mutants, but he's using Xavier to find and kill them. Meanwhile, we have some other subplots. We have a romance kind of blossoming between Jean and Logan. Also with Bobby and Rogue, Iceman and Rogue. We also have Pyro's plot, which is like the rebel. You know, he doesn't really fit in, and you know he wants to prove himself, but in the wrong ways. And yeah, you also have Nightcrawler, his dilemma. He's a new character who he has this close relationship to God. He's very religious. He feels like God is testing him, and that's an interesting thing throughout. So yeah, that's pretty much it for X-Men 2. That's the easiest way I can describe it, because it's a big movie. And wow, oh my gosh, X-Men 2 is phenomenal. It is one of the best superhero sequels you could ever ask for. For me, I think it's underrated actually. I think it's so good. I mean, I've always loved the X-Men movies. Yeah, there was a time when I loved some of the crappier ones. But you know, this movie just for me has everything, and I just love it. I think it's great. I think what's great about the X-Men films is, as I've said in the previous review, is that they're more dramatic. They're not just like you know, the fantasy elements of the superhero powers that they have are kind of work in flux with their emotional drama. I got to praise this film for its emotional drama. It knows its characters and it knows how to develop them, and you're emotionally invested with these characters, some of which you've already seen in the first movie, and some new ones which they focus on here, which are great. And you really believe everybody has a place in this story, or all the characters, the main characters anyway. And it's so nice to see this. You know, it's refreshing. It's a longer film than the first movie as well, which helps. I think it's about 2 hours 10 minutes. This film, so it does help to develop all the characters. First of all, we'll go to the cast. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again owns the role. He's fabulous. He's even better in this film. Funnily enough, this movie is actually a better telling of the origins of Wolverine than X-Men Origins Wolverine. We'll get to that film later, but yeah, honestly, the way they tell the backstory of Wolverine is great here. So it makes X-Men Origins Wolverine completely redundant, but I'll review that film eventually. Oh god. And I like seeing him go on his emotional journey as well. He's remembering who he is. It's very much him discovering his roots and where he came from, which it was something that was hinted in the first movie, but it wasn't explored. The first movie was blatant setup for something that was yet to come, and this was it, you know, and it's excellent. In terms of his romance with Jean, some people criticise it, obviously. I mean, it's more of a problem in X-Men 3, I think, than in this film. There were hints of it in the first one. He was kind of flirting with her, and you could tell that she kind of has the hots for him. She's kind of in love with Scott, but she has the hots for Wolverine. She's kind of torn between the two guys, and in this movie you see that struggle more than anything. And I really like the character of Jean in this film. I think they've given her much more to do. She's very strong. I love the insecurity of her character this time. She's very insecure about her powers. She's losing control of her powers. They're becoming unstable, and she's involved in a bit of a love triangle. She loves Scott, but she's kind of falling for Logan, and it's well done. It's well done. I mean, we'll see how it progresses into X-Men 3 when we get to that review. Cyclops I was disappointed with in this film. That's one of my only bugbears, really. Cyclops didn't really get anything to do after the first. He appears in the first 30 minutes, and then he's absent for the next hour of the film, so he doesn't get much to do. He gets even less to do in X-Men 3, but we'll get to that later. One cast member I have to praise is Brian Cox. Just absolutely phenomenal. Brian Cox, who plays William Stryker, he is a terrific actor. He has great dramatic weight, and he plays the part with such sincerity. And there's, you kind of see him. Okay, he's this normal man. He's just kind of, he's not. He doesn't display his emotions. He doesn't let his emotions run away with him until he's, reveals everything to Xavier. He says, "Oh, my son is dead, just like the rest of you." He shows his true colours there. You can understand his motivations. He had a terrible time, and his wife died. It was quite tragic, and he blames that on Xavier because Xavier couldn't help Jason, which is a shame. And I love the whole concept of Jason being an illusionist. That it's just so clever for me, and it works really well with this plot. I think it's a very well thought out plot. The first movie was a little bit more basic, but I think this one has a stronger plot. The character of Nightcrawler as well, I really like. I think he's a fabulous character. I was really annoyed when they didn't bring him back in X-Men 3, but the actor, Alan Cumming, refused to come back because of the prosthetics that used to take about 5 hours every day, and he wasn't prepared to come back. Which is fair enough, but it would have given X-Men 3 something. His storyline is good. It's nice. It's a nice religious undertone to the film, and his relationship with Storm is quite sweet. They have a few tender moments where they connect. It's not a romance. That would be awkward. But they genuinely understand one another, and that's what I like. there's a niceness to their relationship, if that makes sense. That's a bad word to use, but if that makes sense. Pyro. So many new characters to talk about. Pyro. I love the character of Pyro. I think in this film anyway, I think he's really well done. You know, his kind of inner conflict about which side he's on. He's, you know, his loyalties remain very uncertain throughout the film until the very end, and of course when he changes sides. And I love, one of my favourite scenes of this film is when Pyro talks to Magneto, and Magneto basically says to him, "Oh, you know, you're a god among insects. Don't let anyone tell you different." He's trying to say, you know, you're better than the humans. You're a god compared to them. And you know, I really like that dynamic he has. And Pyro, you know, his rebellious, the way he's played he's played really well. He doesn't do much in X-Men 3, but he's there on the bad side, so he's changed sides. The Bobby and Rogue relationship was good. It was nice. I mean, it was quite an add-on, I suppose, because we've already got the Wolverine and Jean story. But it's nice to see Rogue and see how she deals with having a boyfriend, and it's quite complex, given her inabilities to touch people. And Bobby's a really warm character. I really like Bobby. I think Shawn Ashmore plays him really well. He has a warmness to him, which is very nice, and he genuinely tries to understand and care. You can tell he finds it very difficult to sort of be with her because of the danger of getting hurt. And you can tell there's a bit of tension. And then we're introduced to his family as well, which is great. When they go to Boston and they go to Bobby's parents' house, that's great. And all the other characters are great, like Professor Xavier and Magneto. They're both really well done. Again, Ian McKellan gives a better performance this time. Patrick Stewart gives a great performance again. Let's say Brian Cox makes a terrific villain as Stryker. You also got Lady Deathstrike, who doesn't really say much, but she's there for a kick-ass fight scene. The action sequences are excellent. They are so good. There's more action in the first one, which I think helps. It paces it better, I think. This film is paced excellently. It flows along so well. It goes quick. It's 2 hours 10 minutes. It flies by. First movie did take its time, but you can understand. You can let it go. You can understand why. They were establishing a world, and my favourite action scene, of course, is the Wolverine and Deathstrike fight. That's a very good fight. You've also got the scene when in the prison where Deathstrike knocks out Cyclops. That's really cool. The plane sequence is great. The scene when Pyro burns the policeman, again, great scene. And the finale is epic. Like, it's enthralling. The finale is powerful. With Jean's sacrifice, when she decides to sacrifice herself to save them, to save all the X-Men, and she lifts up the jet and stops the avalanche, but she lets herself, die. I say die in the process, and it's heartbreaking. That's one of the best directed scenes of this film, I have to say. With, you know, when Wolverine's like, "Oh, she's gone." I mean, I can't do it like Hugh Jackman does it, but it's some powerful stuff. And I think the music is great too. The score is much better this time round. The score for the first movie was alright. It was a bit disappointing. It didn't have much emotional depth to it. This score, much better. And that classic theme at the beginning, the dun da 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 dun da 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 dun 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 dun. They should have kept that. They should have just kept that theme, because it's absolutely brilliant. Luckily, they've returned to it for Days of Future Past, so I'm hoping for X-Men Apocalypse they'll keep it as well. What else to say? The direction by Bryan Singer. Bryan Singer returns to direct, and I think he's outdone himself. This time, he's topped himself. Never has the phrase bigger and better been used more aptly. Speaking of action scenes, I forgot to mention about the scene in the mansion. That's really awesome. Especially that shot when Wolverine sticks his claws in the guy's foot. Oh, that's brutal. You feel the pain there. But everything's just better here. Everything's just more polished than the first movie. Bryan Singer, I think, applied what was good about the first one and expanded on it, and also what was wrong with the first movie, and fixed that as well. The only issue I really have with this film is the fact that certain characters don't get to do much, like Cyclops. He doesn't get to do anything. Mystique is wasted, really, in this trilogy. Well, in this entire trilogy, she's wasted. But they got Jennifer Lawrence in the next three, so it made up for it makes up for that. So fair enough. Yeah, there's a really weird scene when Mystique goes and basically tries it on with Wolverine, disguising herself as Jean Grey and trying it on with Wolverine in the tent. Very bit of a cringy scene. But yeah, and there's also a nice reference to the comics and the fact that Mystique is actually Nightcrawler's mother, and they have one moment together, which is really nice. And yeah, everything about X2 just puts a smile on my face. I love the story. I think the story is really cleverly thought out. The last 40 to 45 minutes, epic. Just everything in Alkali Lake, I love it. It's superbly done. And it has dramatic weight, and it has such much more of an emotional heart to it than the first movie did. Not that the first movie wasn't emotional, but it's more emotionally strong, this one, than the first movie, and more than X3 actually, I think, as well. It's directed really well by Bryan Singer, polished. He understands the world, and there's some nice comedy as well. When Iceman blows on the Dr. Pepper and calls it down for Wolverine, that's funny. Also, when the cat licks the claws, just hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Oh, there's so many other little gags as well. Just small little things, like Wolverine has some good one-liners. It's just fabulous. It's fabulous. I mean, it's just a little bit of wit in there. It's nice to have a lighter side in there, and it's not overdone. And it's what also is intriguing about this is that we have an alliance in this film. Magneto and Mystique team up with the X-Men in order to take down William Stryker. Obviously, Magneto has agendas of his own to try and wipe out the humans. So there's that conflict, there's that tension, and throughout the film, you feel that sort of tension building up. They keep talking about all this war. It's all building up to a war. Of course, we don't see the war until X-Men 3. And I mean, it's wonderfully played out here. It's very dramatic. I love the scene also when Magneto breaks out of prison. Mystique seduces the guy, Mr. L'Oreal, the guard, and injects him with iron, and then Magneto uses that to escape from prison, which is fair enough. One can't really blame him. It is a long film. It's about 2 hours 10 minutes, so it's quite long. But I think it needed to be long. I still think every X-Men film should be 2 hours at least. I mean, the first one was a bit short, I have to say. Yeah, and as I said, the music is great too. The ending is very sad with the death of Jean, and the scene when they go and see the president at the end is good. And sorry, forgot to mention, the action sequence at the beginning is amazing. The Oval Office attack with Nightcrawler is... what a way to start the film. What a blast. What an absolutely brilliant way to start the film. And, it's so epic, that scene. It's one of the best action sequences in an X-Men film. It's that impressive. Oh, gosh. And everything just works here so much better. Like, there are a few odd characters who don't get much to do, but, aside from that, this is a damn near perfect sequel. I mean, it's, Brett Ratner should have taken a leaf out of this book, out of Bryan Singer's book, because this is how you do it. It's a very emotionally strong film. It's very dramatic. It has a lot of lightness to it as well. There's a lot of heart. Also, there's a part where the cat licks the frozen tea as well. That's funny. And when Bobby says, "Oh, this is Professor Logan," I love that. I find that just absolutely hilarious. I think the production design again is great. It looks even more impressive than the first movie, and it's more expensive by the looks of things. Yeah, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. X2 is a treat. It's marvelous. It's probably the best of the original trilogy, at least the best of the original trilogy. Um, wow, I mean the plot is just so well thought out, and everything just. Sorry, I've been tired recently. So everything just blends really well. I just love all the concepts of this film, and the elements of the first movie, such as all of the social issues and prejudice, it's all, you know, expanded upon in this movie in like some of the best possible ways that you could ask for. I mean, sorry about that. I just cut off there. But yeah, there's not much more I can really say about X-Men 2. It really just encapsulates everything. It's epic. It's bigger and better. Never has that phrase been used more aptly. This is the definition of bigger and better. And for me, it's absolutely brilliant. And I'm going to give it an easy 10 out of 10. It's amazing, and if you haven't seen it, my goodness, you should see it. Obviously, if you're new to X-Men, start with the first one, but it'll be worth it when you get to this one. This film, just amazing, and I love the part in Cerebro where Magneto switches all the plates around, which is great. But that's it for now, folks. Yeah, so tune in next time when I review X-Men 3: The Last Stand. So until then, adios for now. And I'm Mr. Thomas11. Thank you for watching, and see ya.